Hey guys, they let out the preview for Survivors of the Four Tribes Part 2, and I've been on Discord this morning just talking to people about what to expect for this new event coming up. And since it's a PvE event, we know exactly what we'll be facing once somebody goes through and puts together the list of cards and everything else that has to do with the bosses for it. Which, shout out to Sarah Schmera and everybody else who's helping her aggregate all the info for these events. It really helps out new players, especially. Well, it helps out everybody, really, but especially the newer players who probably need more help with creating decks for this event to try and go perfect with them. But I thought what I would do is just go through all the objectives and just kind of spitball how I might go about going to build my deck. So, bring you into my thought process a bit as to how I think about building for these. So, as always with these PvE events, you really want to pack a decent amount of creature removal or disable just so that you don't get surprised by anything coming your way, in that you get a chance to hit your objectives and not die to some silly creature, or just sometimes the bosses with their loyalty abilities create token stacks that can get out of control. So that's usually the thing that will mess with new players when it comes to PvE, is just not having enough creature control. Now, with that said, we can take a look at all the objectives for these events. Okay, first, the objectives. Peasant and aggressive. Win with only common, uncommon, and rare cards, and cast 3 or less supports in a single fight. So, right off the bat, I'm thinking Raw, because we got access to red and blue. And blue is going to give us a chance to have Sleep with the Fishes, Cut Your Losses. Even Involuntary Cooldown is a card I like for locking creatures down, just disabling them in case they have any hexproof. That's why I like Involuntary Cooldown, so that I can target the creatures to disable them for a couple turns, and then I hit them with Sleep with the Fishes to make it permanent if I need to. So not only that, we got some other, card fetch possibilities with like Talent of the Telepath. Rob the Archives is a good one. And in red, we have things like Hit the Motherlode, Rite of Flame, even Exquisite Firecraft, if that's something you want to use for some extra damage. But then we have, just trying to think, would Koth Vanguard be a good idea to play? If there's a way to get it on the board without having to cast it, that would be better. But I probably would not go with any supports, just because I don't want to accidentally go over the 3 or less supports requirement to get the coalition points. So I'm thinking just using bunch of spells, bunch of creatures that will give me mana, such as Zayatora's Envoy. What else is there? Maybe Sten, Paranoid Partisan, to reduce the cost of spells in my hand. Another really good uncommon creature I like is the one from Ixalan. Gosh, I'm blanking out on the name, but it's an uncommon 14 mana creature that discovers twice at the beginning of your turn. That's going to give you a lot of card advantage. So, yeah, the whole idea is just getting a lot of cards in your hand, getting the ones you want, racing to his third ability, whittling the boss down until you win. So it might be somewhat of a slow battle there, but I'll have to see what we can do there to speed things up if we need to. But this looks like one that you can just win as quickly as you can, as long as you just build the right deck. So I'll have to tinker around with what would be the best creatures to build up there. All right. Next one is Leyline. Convert 10 or more gems during a single fight. And Tombstone. Have 15 or more cards in your graveyard during a single fight. So right there, I'm thinking green and black. So I could easily go with Garruk, Cursed Huntsman, or Nissa of Shadowed Boughs. And I probably lean toward Nissa because her abilities do more with your graveyard than Garruk does. I could even go Tyvar Jubilant Brawler, even though he's got a little less HP than everybody else. But he can do a lot with the graveyard, bring all sorts of things there. So he really benefits from a lot of conversion and having a lot of things in your graveyard. So building for his strengths, I think, should automatically get me the points that I want. So I have some pretty cool Tyvar decks saved that I'll probably just tweak to just make sure that I have everything taken care of. But yeah, I'll use things like Breach the Multiverse, Blossoming Tortoise. That right there should probably, and then, you know, with a few lands, should probably just take care of objectives off the bat. And then to bring things from the graveyard, I love the Archpriest, the one that gives Death Touch to your creatures and brings things out from the graveyard when you have Death Touch. So that's a good one. Galta, of course, is going to convert tons. And then I can just pack the rest of the deck with spells and lands and things like that to generate more mana. But removal spells, that will work for me there. So yeah, that shouldn't be too difficult, I don't think. Then we got Vito, Fanatic of Aklazats. So summoning 6 or more vampires and loyalty. So depending on how much HP this boss is going to have, I'm going to need somebody whose loyalty is really easy to get to and spam. So I'm thinking Karn 1 for the loyalty ability. Triggering that first one shouldn't be hard to do 5 times, even in a battle that's not super long, but I imagine this one will be. So summoning 6 or more vampires. There's a few different ways of going about it. If I wanted to go with Arrogant Bloodlord, I'm going to have to destroy a lot of my creatures in the process of doing that. So that might be a little bit more complicated than I want it to be. So my other choice there is either the new Vito vampire, the mythic from this new set that creates a couple of vampires every turn. There's also Galta from March of Machines that creates vampires and is a vampire. Even though it's expensive, I might go that route and then just have ways of getting it on the board pretty quickly, having like a Mox or a Mana Crypt. Yeah, the rest of this would just be some control cards, a few vampires that can create vampire tokens, like I said, and then the rest of it is probably going to be like, you know, Sleep with the Fishes, or some removal like Void Rend that I can target with. And yeah, just in case there are some supports that are nasty, maybe throw Demolish in there or something like that. So that's kind of where I'm thinking of going with that battle. Controlling the creatures and whatever it can do, it's not a bad idea to have some life gain available to us there. So I might go with, obviously, Mask of Gristlebrand that will give lifelink to everything, or to our creature on the bottom slot. So that will go well with Galta. So yeah, I'll probably do that. Galta, Mask of Gristlebrand, a couple more vampire token creators like Vito. Or yeah, I'll have to look at who else creates vampire tokens. And then yeah, just some control. Next we go into the dinos. We got Peasant and Hunter. This one might be a little bit tricky because Hunter, you have to deal 10 or more damage to a creature during a turn. And the way that Hunter has been working lately, especially if we look to the green node of Revolving Planeswalk as an example, it has to be a creature, one of your creatures dealing damage to another creature through combat. So you have to basically bash one of your creatures into one of theirs to get the objective. So I'm thinking there will be plenty of creatures on their side to do that with. So we have a few berserkers. Bonehorde Dragon is a good one. You're gonna want to reinforce it first before it bashes into a creature. So there's that one. There's the Red Ogre. Those both have Berserker, and they're both pretty solid creatures on their own. So I might go with that. Oh, but nope, can't do that because this is peasant objective. So that's going to be a little bit trickier than I thought. Okay, we'll have to rethink that one. I'm trying to think, are there some solid, do I want to go reach? Maybe freelance muscle to make my creature big and then have them bash into it. And I believe that would hit the objective if I have freelance muscle and another creature on the board, and then just let my opponent run into my reach creatures. So yeah, maybe that's the way to go with that one. And then I'll just have to look to see what other peasant cards I would have. Thinking probably Domri to fetch my creatures. And then, yeah, what can I do to put a creature on their side that normally wouldn't be there? I'll have to think about that one. I don't know what's in standard that creates creatures on their side to bash into my creatures. That's one I'll have to come back to and maybe look at once somebody's gone through that first node and let me know what's in it, because there's a few different ways to go, and if it's easier than I think, I might be overcomplicating it. Next one, Leyline and Artificer. Okay, so convert 10 or more gems during a single fight and cast 10 or more supports during a single fight. So this one, I'm thinking Kasmina with Virtue of Knowledge. Having Virtue of Knowledge on the battlefield, you cast it once, and you're basically casting it twice because it copies itself and then puts it on the board. So there are a few ways of going about it. You can do the mid-vow supports that are lands, and so when you cast those, you're going to be putting 5 mana into all the cards in your hand. And if with Virtual Knowledge, you're copying that support, so you're going to be putting 10 mana into all of the cards in your hand. And then if you happen to have Temp with Discovery, that's going to be converting 10 gems right there. And so that's going to be creating something of a loop. I'm sure that I can create a loop out of all those there. If I were to use good old Blade Coil with Cut Your Losses and Temp with Discovery, a bunch of lands, the mid-val lands, a few other ones, Virtual Knowledge, and then Sleep with the Fishes for any sort of creature lockdown. Yeah, there's a few different ways to go there, but that's what I'm thinking. And then I'll just round out the rest of the deck with whatever else I need for dealing with the boss situation there. So I don't think that one should be too difficult with my collection. And then the last one here, Watley, Poet of Unity, Fossils. Summon 6 or more dinosaur during a single fight, and then attack 10 or more times during a single fight. So we're definitely going to want to do Double Strike. If you have the Vraska Vanguard, that will give all of your creatures Double Strike in a couple turns. So that shouldn't be that hard. And then the dinosaurs, This is where we get to use our fun dinosaurs. Bone Horde Dragon. Is it dragon? I forget. But I'm pretty sure it's a dinosaur, right? Dinosaur dragon. That not only is it a dinosaur, but it's creating a dinosaur every turn, so that shouldn't be very hard to hit that objective. Trying to think. I'll probably go Sarkhan, aka Brokan, for that one. We can fetch our dinos, get 3 of them at a time with this third ability. Just get a bunch of loyalty going with some temp with discovery. Put Vraska Vanguard on all my creatures. So that shouldn't be too big of an issue. If I need to hit sleep with the fishes and lock down their creatures as best as I can, I'll do that. So yeah, I think I got that one pretty well figured out in my head already. So yeah, okay, well, that is how I plan on going about my preliminary deck building ideas. If you guys have other ideas and more things that you guys are thinking of as we just look forward to the weekend, let me know. And maybe I'll do a follow-up and kind of spotlight some ideas that worked well for you guys from the community. So if you guys want to help me out with that and just get a little bit of kudos to your name through this channel, that's always nice, right? So, all right, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.